Here we go. In circle coordinate geometry, we're going to focus on two types of circles. So the first type of circle, we call it circle with center at origin, which is 0:0. So this is the origin right here, where the x value is 0 and the y value is 0. Remember, this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis. So right here we see the center being the origin. Not forgetting that every circle has a radius, which is a line drawn from the center of the circle to the circumference. So this is going to be r for radius. And right here, we have a point, let's just call it P, which is x is to y. X and y can represent any real numbers. So this is the circle center origin. And since a circle is actually a graph, which is a relationship between x and y, so a circle must have an equation. So the equation of a circle at center origin will be x squared plus y squared is r squared. Example, let's say we have x squared plus y squared is equal to 16. And we are asked to write down the value of the radius. So since we know that this 16 is in the place of r squared, we're going to say, okay, r squared is 16. And the radius is going to be plus or minus the square root of 16. But radius is actually the length, which is from the center to the circumference of the circle. And since it's the length, we don't take the negative answer. We're just going to say r is going to be the square root of 16, which is going to be 4 units. The second type of a circle, that will be center away from origin. The center is sort of shifted away from origin. So this is our center right here with the x coordinate and the y coordinate. Let's call them A is to B. Not forgetting a line drawn from the center to the circumference, which is our radius. This point, again, let's just call it point P with x and y coordinate. The x-axis, and that's the y-axis. The equation is going to be in brackets x minus a all squared plus in brackets y minus b all squared is equal to r squared. So in this case, a and b represent the coordinates of the center, and r is still the radius. In fact, we have some interesting questions based on this equation of circle center away from origin. Example 1, we are being told a circle is defined by this equation right here, x squared minus 6y plus y squared plus 10x minus 15 is equal to 0. And they want us to write the equation of the circle in the standard form of center away from origin. So this is the standard form right here of center away from origin. So we must take this form and write it in that form. How do we do it? 3 words. Completing the square. Let's do it. Let me rewrite what we have here, what we are given. So to write it in this standard form circled in red, firstly we group the x terms next to each other. So we write x squared. The other x term is 10x. Then we write the y terms next to each other. That's plus y squared minus 6y. Constant term. No x, no y here. So we take it to the other side. Then next we do this. Let's start by focusing on the x's here first. The x terms. X squared plus 10x. We are going to be adding something and square it. What are we adding exactly? Let's look next door on the left. We have 10x. So we are going to take the coefficient of x, which is 10, and divide it by 2. So 10 over 2, that will be positive 5. For now, just write it with positive. You will see how that's going to be useful later. We do the same thing with the y's. Let's go to the y's now. Y squared minus 6y. We are going to add something and square it. What are we adding here? We look next door on the left. In other words, we take negative 6 and divide it by 2. Negative 6 over 2 will give us negative 3. So remember, this is an equation. So what we do on the left, we must also do on the right. On the right, we have 15 waiting patiently. So whatever we added on the left, we're going to add it on the right. So on the left, we added positive 5 squared. Let's do the same here. Positive 5 squared. We also added negative 3 squared. Let's do the same. Negative 3 squared. Let's write this without the brackets because so far it's just like a mess. X squared plus 10x. Positive 5 squared. That will be 25. Then the y's, that will be y squared minus 6y. Negative 3 squared, that's a positive 9. Not forgetting our lovely right-hand side, use a calculator here. You're going to get 49. Now, so far so good. Remember the aim of doing all of this. We want to write in standard form. So what we did, you see this step right here, we've just completed the square. Because x is squared, 25 is a square number, y is squared, and 9 is a square number. Now the standard form. This is what we do. Brackets, all squared, plus brackets, all squared. On the right, we have 49. The first brackets, we want x. Next brackets, we want y. But what do we write exactly? Remember when I said write with a sign? You see this step right here, guys. When we were adding the coefficient of 10 and squared it, we wrote a positive 5. So that's what we take. That's a positive 5. On the y parts, we wrote negative 3 in brackets right here. That's what we take. That will be a negative 3. And there you have your standard form. This is the equation of circle center away from origin. Why is this form important? This form is important because it's going to tell us what the center is and what the radius is going to be. Hence, write the center and the length of the radius. The meaning of hence is that we should use our answer now. We have the center. We just change the signs. Positive 5, that's a negative 5. It's like you're solving for x. Negative 3, that will be a positive 3. It's like we're solving for y. What about the radius? The center is done. Now the radius. So with the radius, we know that 49, according to the general form, remember the general form on the right side, it has r squared. So 49 is in the place of r squared. R squared is 49. R will be plus or minus the square root of 49. Since r is the radius and they actually want the length of the radius, we know radius is always positive. Square root of 49, that will be 7 units. And checkmate. Next customer, please. Try this one out first, guys. Okay, so we're gonna write this equation of circle center away from origin in the standard form given here, with the aim of writing down the center and the radius after completing the square. Okay, let me rewrite what we have here. Okay, remember what we do first? We group the x's next to each other. So the x terms will be x squared minus 3x. Then the y terms next to each other, that's y squared plus 5y. And the negative 20 is going to be going to the other side and be lonely alone just for now. So negative will become positive 20. Then what's next? Let's start with the x terms. X squared minus 3x. We're going to be adding something and square it. What do we add? Let's look next door. We see negative 3x. So we're going to take the coefficient of x, which is negative 3, and divide it by 2, giving us negative 3 over 2. Then the y's, y squared plus 5y. What are we adding? We add something and square it. But what is it? Let's look next door. We're going to take the coefficient of y, which is positive 5, and divide it by 2, giving us positive 5 over 2. On the right hand side, we have 20. Whatever is done on the left side of the equation must be done on the other side of the equation. So whatever we added on the left, which is negative 3 over 2 squared, we are also adding it on the right side. Not forgetting positive 5 over 2 squared. Now let's write everything without the brackets. That's x squared minus 3x plus negative 3 over 2 squared will be 9 over 4 plus y squared plus 5y plus positive 5 over 2 squared, that's 25 over 4. And on the right hand side, use your calculator. Let's see what you're getting. That should be 57 over 2. Yeah, I know, it's weird. We have just completed the square. Why? X is squared. 9 over 4 is a squared number. Y is squared. 25 over 4 is another square number. Now the standard form. Brackets all squared plus brackets all squared, the right hand side, 57 over 2. First brackets x, next brackets y. Then what do we write with the x? Remember up here, right here, in brackets we wrote negative 3 over 2 squared. So you just take that negative 3 over 2 the way it is. And for the y part, up here, in brackets we have positive 5 over 2. You write it the way it is, positive 5 over 2. And now so we have the standard form of circle center away from origin. Let's answer the rest of the question. They are saying center and radius. Let's start with the center. The x coordinate of the center, we're going to be changing the sign there. That's positive 3 over 2 is 2. The y coordinate, we change the sign. That's negative 5 over 2. And now the radius. Remember this part is r squared. So radius squared is going to be 57 over 2. So r, which is always positive, will be positive square root of 57 over 2. We may round it off correct to 2 decimal places, 5,34 units. What do we have? The circle center away from origin standard form, the coordinates of the center, the length of the radius, and checkmate.